Welcome back to CTV Morning Live. We're joined by Brenda Hollingsworth from Auger Hollingsworth Law Firm. Live calls on the air are 789-6559, extension 2803. Always send us a question via our Facebook page, our Twitter page, or our email. So we're going to carry on as the process continues. So we've probably given ourselves about 6 months or so in terms of just the paperwork that's been filed, medical reports, everything that you're waiting to kind of get back. Take us through the process now.
Okay, so if the person has reached maximum medical recovery and we can assess settlement properly, then at that point we will often approach the insurance company directly and see if we can develop a resolution. Insurance companies generally are receptive to that, especially if there's not a big mystery over who caused the accident. And so if we can, we'll negotiate a settlement sort of at the 1 year to 18-month mark. That's a very common time to negotiate a settlement. But there's a certain percentage of cases that are just not going to settle without starting a lawsuit. And where that's the case, we get ready and we prepare a statement of claim, which is the document that you file with the court to start the lawsuit. The client will review that statement of claim before it goes into the court, and that starts the official legal process going.
So you're not into the legal process once prior to that. If the insurance company is on board, they realize that there was an incident, who's at fault, and so forth, that just gets dealt with, and then you get your settlement and you're good to go.
Yeah, that happens a lot of times.
And that's most of the time?
I wouldn't say most.
No,
I would not say most. I would say slip and fall type accidents, it happens more than car accidents. It really depends a lot on the insurance company too. Some insurance companies want a deal, some do not.
And I guess for you, you know which ones of those companies are easier or more difficult to work
Yes, definitely.
with.
And it also depends on the seriousness, right? You can get $50,000 from an insurance company a lot easier than you can get $500,000.
Absolutely.
So that makes a big difference.
So we are starting once the paperwork is done and the lawsuit is then underway. What happens then when you can say, okay, we have launched a lawsuit?
So the first thing you do is you have to personally serve the defendants with the documents. So we hire a process server, and this is like TV. They go and knock on your door and hand you the papers. If you receive those papers, you give them to your insurance company, and they will hire a lawyer for you, generally speaking. And that lawyer responds to me with their defense. What is their defense? And these are usually standard form documents that say there was no accident. If there was an accident, it was all your fault. And if it was our fault, there were no injuries. And it's sort of the document makes clients mad, but it's really just a standard form. And then there's two big steps. There's discovery and there's mediation. In Ottawa region, mediation is mandatory. That's not the case everywhere, but here it is.
In Ottawa, but in Toronto, are we talking by province or actually really talking by city or district?
By district. So Toronto, some years it's mandatory, some years it's not. I'm not sure at the moment. But say Perth, if you file your lawsuit in Perth, it's not mandatory. But if you file it in the Ottawa court, it is. And I find mediation to be really effective. I settle a lot of cases at mediation, so it's something that the clients kind of roll their eyes at, and you know, if they are working, they have to take time off work to come to, but it has a really high success rate in Ottawa.
And mediation is just, it's the two lawyers and the individuals and someone who's just really good at making people get along.
That's right. We hire mediators and then they run the show. Yeah, so what happens is we each have an opening presentation that we make. Both lawyers make a presentation. Then we split off into separate rooms, and offers are ferried back and forth by the mediator.
It's interesting.
Neat. It is neat. The dynamic is interesting. The strategy is interesting. Clients are very engaged in the process because they see how I'm calculating, and I'm showing them, you know, based on what I see here, this is the number I'm suggesting.
So if you were to say I'm heading into mediation right now, you could be in for a long haul. This could be a long process of back and forth over the course of a day.
Yeah, typically it's the entire day. I'm heading from here to one, and I expect I'll be there most of the day. Yeah, so it's exciting. The client, we're in a small room together, so we get to know each other really well during that time.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and it is useful because the client usually only sees his or her own perspective on the case. But hearing the insurance company's lawyer's perspective often is very helpful for the client, sort of understanding why I'm recommending this number and not a bigger number, what the weaknesses are, what the risks are. So it's good that way too.
Okay, so you know, mediation is one factor. I know you were talking a little bit about discovery, and was the discovery done prior to the mediation?
Well, it depends.
Okay.
It can be either. Most commonly discovery's first, although, for example, the one I'm doing today, we haven't had discovery yet. But where there's discovery, that's where the other lawyer asks my client questions and I ask the at-fault person questions.
So you're going on the other side.
Yeah. So that's also a long process. You're allowed to ask 7 hours worth of questions. So it's a long process, and it's everything from your background to the details about the injuries.
Will the other lawyer be present while you're asking those questions, or this is something that can be done on your own?
So the other lawyer is asking my client the questions, and I'm there to protect my client.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Both lawyers are present at the time.
But if it's my client being asked the questions, I'm not really supposed to talk very much. I can object to improper questions. And if I don't understand a question, I'll make sure it's clear. But generally speaking, my client...
They're running the show.
Yeah, the other lawyer's running the show and my client's asking the questions. Of course, they've been well prepared.
Yes.
We have several meetings to prepare for that, usually two-hour meetings. Usually one's with me and one's with my partner so that they get a different voice. And my partner is a scary cross-examiner, so...
So they get a practice run-through.
That's right.
It's really interesting to see. Okay, we do have to take a break. If you have any questions, I know there's, right now we're kind of going through it. You're walking through the process. But if you have some questions for Brenda, you can give us a call live on the air. Send us a question via Facebook, via Twitter, via email. And we will be back to answer those for you right after the commercial break. There's a look at how you can get a hold of them, their website, their address, and their contact information.